What is going on, student experience team? I hope you guys are all doing well as you watch this video. Just want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for your weekly investment. Thank you for your sacrifice of time and energy into the next generation each and every Wednesday. I want to remind you that as a student ministry, we are winning. That is right. As a student ministry, we are winning. At our East location alone, we are seeing an average of over 100 students each and every Wednesday night. We saw 101 last Wednesday, and I believe that tonight with plus one night that we're going to see that number continue to increase as people continue to tell their friends about what it is that God is doing in their life. Now, here's the thing. When God brings increase, when God brings a harvest, when he brings growth to a ministry, it is on us to be able to steward it well. It is on our mentors to be able to lead the conversations well in small groups. It is on our production teams to make sure that our students have an engaging worship service. It is on myself as the student director to ensure that whether it is the experience team or the mentors or worship and production and the messages, that we are continuing to strive for a level of excellence to make a space for these students to feel welcomed, to reach their potential and who God has called them to be, and to use their influence to change the world all around them in their schools. One way, as an experienced team, that we steward well growth is through metrics. Come on the other side of the screen, I want you to say metrics. Say metrics. Come on, I'm believing that you said it. Metrics. You might be asking, what is metrics? What are metrics? Why do we keep track of metrics? Metrics is the number of students that we have on a given Wednesday night. Metrics is any numbers that we keep track of. On Sundays, we track the amount of attendees that we have in the auditorium. We track the amount of serve team members that we have throughout our serve teams. We track the amount of worship team members that we have. We track the amount of communion elements that we are given out to make sure that we are stewarding everything well, everything being whatever God has trusted us with. In terms of this team specifically, one thing that we will be making sure that we keep metrics on is our student attendance. That is right. We want to continue to track growth. That way we can continue to know, man, if there is a week where we recognize that we normally average 105 students, but for some reason this week we had 70 students, maybe it's time to reach out to our mentors and to say, hey, we were missing 22 high school students this week. Was there anything going on? Were there any varsity events? Was there homecoming this week? Was there a senior trip? How can we make sure that our students are prioritizing getting into the house of God on Wednesday nights? In a world where there are so many influences, where there are so many opportunities to be strayed away from Jesus, we want to make sure that we are doing everything in our power to allow these students to receive from God. So here's what we're going to do on a more practical level. Now that we understand why metrics matter, on a practical level, here is how we execute metrics. Now, many of you know, if not all of you know, that when students come in, we check them in, we give them their wristband, and we make sure that they have that wristband on their wrist to ensure they are signed in and they are accounted for. Here's where we begin with metrics. Once the message begins, so after announcements, after any pre-service activities, but once the message begins, what we can do is, as the experience team, we can walk into the auditorium and count the amount of students that are in the room. You can count the left side of the auditorium, the middle, the right, and count those and gain a total number of the three areas of the auditorium. And that is the total number of students that we have in attendance. You're able to be mindful as well of any students that may be lingering in the foyer, any students that may be sitting in the back of the auditorium when we've encouraged them to sit up front, any students who may have used the restroom, any students that may be coming in just a couple minutes late. And here's what we'll be able to do with that number. We can do is on the iPads that we use for check-in, there is this green app at the bottom right here. I'll see if I can put it up to the camera. It looks like a green M, and that stands for metrics. So we click on that app, and what you'll see up here is it'll say next level student attendance. Now, if it doesn't say that, maybe it'll say kids, maybe it'll say serve your city. You just click on the name, and you will see next level student attendance right here, one of the first drop downs. So we click on that, next level student attendance. And what we'll do is, if I can get it to focus, if not, you'll see, there it is. On this bottom corner right here, there's a button that says input. You can go to input, and then you'll see there's a couple different options, but you'll go to the date that is the Wednesday that is corresponding to the day. So today right here, it says Wednesday, October 30th. We'll go to this Wednesday, and what we'll do is, and sometimes it takes a second to load, There it is. You'll see auditorium left, auditorium middle, and auditorium right. We can enter the amount of students that are sitting in each section of the auditorium. Now, if you scroll down in this, you'll also see that one of the things that we have included in here is the amount of students that said yes to a relationship with Jesus. That way we can enter how many salvations we have. We can celebrate together about what God is doing and the amount of students that are being saved from the payment of their mistakes and their sins and are receiving the good news of Jesus Christ. Another thing that we were able to do in metrics is these handy dandy sheets that we got printed out right here. So these sheets, they say grade and then boys and girls. So what the mentor will do is the mentor will go to their small group room. Let's go ahead and use the 11th grade girls as an example. Abigail Whiteside, Abby, she is one of our incredible mentors of the 11th grade junior girls. What she would do is she would have this paper taped up to her small group door, which is in the MPR on Wednesday nights. And I'll send you guys a list of the rooms they're in. But she would have this taped up to the door on Wednesday nights. And when she goes into small groups at 8 o'clock from 8 to 8:30, she would then go, she would write grade, she would write 11, she would circle girls, and then attendance, she would write, let's say, for example, 15. And in that way, we'd be able to track not only the amount of students we have in the auditorium, but how many we have in each small group. Now, you may be wondering, well, we already tracked how many are in the auditorium. Why does it actually matter if we track how many are in each small group on a Wednesday night? See, here's the thing, is that we are always going to be in the goal of adding more mentors to our small groups. So if there is a group, for example, like Abby's, that has 10 girls, then we may recognize we don't necessarily need to add a second mentor or a co-mentor to that group as a first priority, because there may be another group that is more urgent. But last week, actually, Abby's group had 19 girls in her small group. So seeing that on a consistent basis, if I see 3-4 weeks in a row where Abby's group has 18 girls, 19 girls, 21 girls, 18 girls, I can sit there and say, awesome, it is a goal of mine to enhance the quality of that small group by adding another mentor in there as well. This also helps us to track how many middle school students we have and how many high school students you have. You'll see in the metrics app as well, right under the left, middle, and right of the auditorium attendance, you'll see middle and high school attendance. After collecting all of these once small groups begin, so what we'll do is, for timeline's sake, during the message, once the message begins, we take count of everybody in the auditorium, enter that in. We can actually go ahead and tape these to the small group rooms that the mentors are in. That way they can go ahead and write their information on there. And then once their small groups are rock and rolling around 8:05, 8:10, we can grab these off and we can begin to write down in the metrics app how many of the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade attendees we had and how many of the 9, 10, 11, and 12, that being high school attendees, we had as well. That way we can separate middle and high school in the metrics app and even recognize, man, we are really high school heavy here at the East location. That is something that we know. What are some ways that we can continue to strive to grow our middle school attendance through local schools such as Gateway Charter Middle School, and any other middle schools that are in the area? How can we do more outreach to middle schools and not be so heavy on high school attendance but so low on middle school? Little things like this may seem very detail oriented. They may seem tedious at times, but I promise you, this is how we grow as a student ministry. This is how we steward well the 100 plus students that God is bringing us each and every week. I want to remind you and finish with what we started. We are winning. As a student ministry here at the East location and across our church, we are winning. God is trusting us. God is bringing students to us each and every week who have never even been introduced to who Jesus is before. And they don't know what God is capable of doing in their lives the same way that we do, but soon they will. And it is on us to be able to steward that growth well, to track it well, to monitor it, to examine it, and to act upon it to continue to lead students to be fully engaged followers of Jesus. If you have any questions about this, I will be around tonight with the Experience team as Abby is going to be preaching the message to be able to help out with how we carry this out. But I believe this is going to be one of the best ways that we steward well the growth of our student ministry. So love you, Experience team. Incredibly grateful for you all. Thank you for being along for the ride of what God is doing each and every Wednesday night. And I will see you later on. Bye-bye.